a royalty of about $15 per line goes out to those who have developed these solutions in the 3G, 4G space and who are supplying equipment, the Ericssons and Nokias and Motorola's of the world, or the Huawei's of the world. This is something which is seen in different parts of the world as well. If you look at the North American ecosystem, for every $100 of exports from Mexico, an average of about $40 for every incremental $100 of export from Mexico, exports from the US increase by about $40. On the other hand, for every increment of $100 export from the US, the incremental increase from Mexico, because of being part of the same regional value chain, is only $8. So the holding of the IPs skews benefits of trade in favor of certain economies. And this is something which we hope to change. India, as I mentioned, is working on the Make in India program, and design in India is an extremely important part of this activity. For many decades now, a large number of foreign companies, including multinationals, have been doing advanced R&D activities in various design centers set up in India, including many at Bangalore itself. But what usually happens is the results of this R&D is in the form of patents which are filed abroad. And in many cases, there's lots of R&D going on domestically in Indian institutions of repute where knowledge is created, but it is not converted into patents, and hence IP is not registered. Both these need to be addressed, and slowly the ecosystem is making it happen. We are at that point in history where people are realizing that it is easier to do innovation if in smaller organizations. Large bureaucracies of multinational organizations, even those like Qualcomm who have been in the frontier areas of technology, are realizing that the next round of IP will be developed through small teams working in nimble entities in the form of different kinds of startups. To make this happen, we have a policy of we have created the Electronics Development Fund, and through this we hope to support venture capital funds for angel and seed funding, which will help startups coming up to get much needed capital. This is an area of government which is important. And not only the government is working in this, a number of companies, and I would mention Qualcomm again, are setting up venture capital funds, Qualcomm having committed about $150 million to their Indian venture capital fund to support tech research. While having the skills, having R&D centers, having finance is extremely important for the creating of IPs, it is a necessary but not a sufficient condition. If IPs are to be created, we need to have an ecosystem where we not only create our IPs, but we also have an effective commitment to protecting them, to effective enforcement, to ensuring that the benefits of the inventive solutions that are developed are available to those who are developing or doing the innovation, and the capacity both amongst scientists and researchers and institutions, as well as in the government patent system, to know how to search, how to look at patent applications, how to file international patents, and get them registered in the best possible way. This is an area which is also which needs to meet, where a lot of work needs to be done. And in the last 2 years, I'm happy to note that the collaboration between DAITI and the European Patent Office has resulted in substantial progress in this field. A number of workshops have been held. There has been discussions, best practices have been exchanged, And in India, we've had capacity development in the form of centers of excellence being set up in DIIT as well as in C-DAC Pune for prior art research and in other areas. It is in this context we cherish the collaboration between India and EU, and I am delighted to note that today we signed the agreement for extending this cooperation between the Department of Electronics and IT of the Government of India and the European Patent Office for a further period of 2 years with specific steps and outcomes for capacity building, sharing information, best practices, and being able to develop expertise in Indian institutions and organizations to be able to search, to examine, and to file patents. The agreement, I'm sure, will create a platform for India and Europe to work together and will give a further fillip to the development of IP in India and its registration as per the requirements of the European patent system. I also note that the system that we follow in India and Europe is broadly the same, and therefore this collaboration will have even greater convergence and synergy. Having worked very closely as the chief negotiator of the India-EU BTIA, I look forward to further cooperation between India and the European Union. We do believe that this is a win-win partnership, whether it's in the area of patent cooperation or in trade, investment, harmonizing regulations, or in any other areas, including the smooth flow of services and issues like data security, which makes it easier for work being done over the internet between the two countries, or through the movement of professionals by a more easy visa regime. Every element of cooperation that can be developed between India and Europe will further increase will be for the further benefit of both the countries. Europe is a huge services economy. India is strong in certain areas of services, especially in the skill-based and the innovation-related services. And I hope in the years to come, the BTIA will progress. And as part of it, the collaboration in the area of developing, nurturing, and registering innovative patents would also get a flip. I would not like to take more of your time. I must again apologize to all of you, especially Mr. Lutz, for not being able to make that in person. I do welcome you and your team and everybody else, and I do hope that this workshop will create a new platform and raise the stage for ongoing India-EU cooperation, and more specifically, partnership between the Department of Electronics and Technology and IT of the Government of India and the European Patents Office. I wish you all the luck, and we hope that we will be able to continue with this in the next 2 years of this collaboration. Thank you all for being there.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I request Mr. Raymond Lutz, Vice President, European Patent Office, to deliver the special address. Before that, I would like to read out his profile. Mr. Raymond Lutz is currently the Vice President and Director General of the Directorate Legal and International Affairs at the European Patent Office. Mr. Lutz has a long and distinguished career in the field of intellectual property rights. Before joining EPO, in 2011, he was President of the Federal Patent Court, Munich, from 2000 to 2005. Mr. Lutz was Deputy Director General for Commercial, Economic and Intellectual Property Law at the Federal Ministry of Justice in Berlin. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, with this Skype speech, we experienced how IT can bring people easy together, and this is a good example that and makes clear that we should further improve IT and IT applications in the real world and IT implementation in the real world, so that our lives will become even more easier. Dear Dr. Dutta, dear Dr. Babu, dear Mr. Nathan, Mr. Jensen, it is a great honor and a pleasure for me to be here today in Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India, to open the Indo-European Conference on building a sustainable IPR-ICT ecosystem for promoting innovation. Also on behalf of our President, Mr. Battistelli, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you and to sincerely thank the Department of Electronics and Information Technology, DATI, and the Center for Development of Advanced Computing, C-DAC, for hosting and organizing this landmark conference in one of the most vibrant, innovative regions of India this year. I would also like to thank our partners, the European Business and Technology Center, EBTC, for their support and participation in today's event. EBTC has been providing a much needed interface for stakeholders from Europe and India on IPR issues. A very important and valuable service indeed, which should be maintained and further developed in the years ahead. Indeed, this annual conference, organized for the third time since 2013, is dedicated to one of the most innovation-driven industry sectors in this day and age, and is testament to the strong partnership between the EPO and India in this booming field. Patents and technical standards are essential ingredients in driving market growth, mutually beneficial trade and economic development. The information and commercialization technology and electronics industry relies on IP and standardization to an extent unmatched by most other industry sectors. Hence, ICTC constitutes a major driver of patent filings at the EPO and in the other large patent offices in the world, including the Indian Patent Office. This list of top applicants at the EPO and elsewhere is dominated by large companies active in ICTC, and we note a growing convergence of technologies with software as principal driver for novel developments. It has become the decisive factor in a large number of advances in all fields of technology. There is a recent surge in international patent filings, which today account for about 35% of all patent applications filed worldwide. This raises a number of questions for ICT companies, in particular, how to protect their inventions in the relevant markets. Europe and India are both important sources of innovation and attractive technology markets. However, ICT owners from the two regions are relatively passive when it comes to protecting their inventions in each other's markets. In the long term, insufficient protection may act as a barrier to the completeness of European and Indian firms, as they will not be able to claim the rights to their inventions in the relevant markets. This, in turn, is likely to undermine their potential to globally capitalize on their innovation effects. With this in mind, and recognizing that Europe and India share a similar philosophy on the patent system for historical reasons. The EPO and DITI decided a few years ago to join forces in order to raise mutual awareness and to foster closer collaboration between Europe and India in the field of ICT innovation and protection. In particular, EPO and DITI identified a need to share best practice in the patenting of computer-implemented inventions, to collate and disseminate patent information, and to build capacity for patent filing in the field of ICTC in both jurisdictions. The cooperation program between the EPO and DITI, which was officially launched in April 2013, was already yielded a number of valuable results of direct benefit for the users in both regions, and will continue to do so over the next years. In this context, I'm pleased to announce that Dr. Dutta and I will later a new cooperation agreement sign, and will underline in this way that our cooperation will be even closer also in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, the most obvious example of the fruitful collaboration between the EPO and DITI is the very event you have decided to bless with your presence today. Today's Indo-European Conference, which is the third of this kind, was organized for the first time in Delhi in November 2013, and subsequently at the EPO in Munich in 2014. As is the case today, the conference has provided a unique platform for public and private stakeholders from India and Europe to share their experiences and best practice in protecting ICTC inventions in both jurisdictions. The conference have sought to foster a common understanding regarding the best practice to be followed in respect of protecting software-related inventions through patents. In this content, it is worth mentioning that the Intellectual Property Office of India has earlier this year published guidelines for the examination of computer-related inventions, which are similar to the general legal practice for computer-implemented inventions followed by the EPO. This convergence of practice at the EPO and IPO India should yield substantial benefits for applicants from both jurisdictions, and the same application should result in a similar outcome at both offices. Another pertinent example of our cooperation with DITI and C-DAC is the joint development of an Indo-European intellectual property collaboration portal that shall facilitate the registration, protection, and commercialization of IPRs by providing innovators from both regions with a platform for IPR collaboration, as well as direct access to the various IPR services offered in the other jurisdictions. This portal is currently being designed and developed in cooperation with C-DAC, EBTC, and the Danish Patent and Trademark Office, which illustrates that the EPO-DITI partnership is also creating avenues for collaboration between our respective partners and stakeholders. Going forward, we shall also focus our efforts on the establishment of a network of trainers and experts within governmental IPR help desks in India, such as the search centers run by DITI and C-DAC in Pune and Delhi, who have been trained by the EPO in how to file in Europe and to use EPO products and services, as well as to build capacity on patent filing at the EPO for Indian SMEs more generally. Ladies and gentlemen, what started in 2011 at the sidelines of the EPO Patent Information Conference in Kilkenny in Ireland, with a friendly exchange of ideas with a delegation from India led by Dr. Garg, has matured into a real cooperation between like-minded partners seeking to support innovation and industry by focusing on results and practical solutions of mutual benefits. And our goal should be that this cooperation is a real win-win cooperation for both sides. But before I conclude my welcome remarks, I would like to provide you with a very brief update on the latest patent-related developments in Europe and at the EPO. Patent Translate, our automatic translation service based on a partnership with Google, was completed in December 2013, offering free translation in 32 languages from and into the 3 EPO languages, English, French, and German. Everybody is invited to use this translation service really free of charge. We have also pioneered the most refined patent classification in partnership with the USPTO, based on the European classification system and including US best practices. As well as these 2 major projects relating to search and patent information, the EPO continues to focus on improvements to the examination process, mainly through feedback from applicants and user groups. This is why we launched the so-called Early Certainty from Search project in July 2014, which is designed to provide more essential information at the earliest stage practicable. We want applicants to have clarity about the future prospects of their patent application and their technology as soon as possible, independent whether they apply to the EPO directly or via the Patent Cooperation Treaty